Good morning. I'm Jillian Black, and welcome to the Department of Family and Support Services Chore Service RFP webinar. Just a few housekeeping rules. Due to the volume of participants, everyone has been placed on mute. Please submit questions via the question box, and we will respond to questions at the midpoint and at the end of the presentation. Please use the question box to notify us of any technical issues. Please be advised this webinar is being recorded. Anything stated at this webinar is not intended to change the solicitation document. Any changes will be in writing in the form of an addendum issued by the Department of Family and Support Services. The purpose of this webinar is to provide information for the solicitation. A copy of the recording will be posted on the DFSS YouTube channel with the link to the recording and the PDF of the PowerPoint slides. Please search on the alerts and or funding opportunities tabs. Please give it up to 5 business days to upload. DFSS retains the right to share a list of registrants to this webinar along with their contact and organizational information at our discretion. As for the agenda, we will go over the welcome and introductions, and we will delve into the purpose of the RFP, the background, information about the scope and program description, the selection criteria, timeline, technical assistance for applicants and e-procurement, and then a final round for questions.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stacy Subita. I am the Supervisor of Family and Support Services here with DFSS with primarily our caregiver portfolio, and I'll pass it on to my colleague Gladys to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Gladys Benitez. I'm the Community Living Specialist, and I'll be the Program Manager for the Chore Services program.
And
sorry.
And my name is Jillian Black. I'm the Procurement Proposal Coordinator. I'm working with the RFP.
Our mission is to work with community partners, connect our Chicago residents and family to resources and build stability, support their well-being, and empower them to thrive. Our priorities are to deliver and support high-quality, innovative, and comprehensive services that empower clients to thrive, collaborate with community partners on programs and policies that improve Chicagoans' lives and advance systematic change. And we also inform the public of resources available to them through DFSS and its community partners. We also steward DFSS resources responsibly and effectively. DFSS has 7 branches: Children's Services, Division on Domestic and Gender-Based Violence, Homeless Services, Human Services, Senior Services, Workforce Services, and Youth Services. For Senior Services, we provide assistance in nutrition, caregiving, in-home care, information and benefits, elder rights and advocacy, and we provide assistance at senior centers staffed by DFSS employees and also work with service providers. The purpose of the RFP is to seek proposals from qualified in-home care provider agencies who have experience providing assistance with activities of daily living, such as bathing and grooming and dressing, or instrumental activities of daily living, such as shopping for groceries, housekeeping, seasonal work, for older adults 60 years and older living in the city of Chicago. The target population includes frail and low-income individuals, minority older individuals, or individuals with limited English proficiency, and LGBTQ+, and older adults living with HIV. The respondent will provide 7,000 units of chore services to 250 participants citywide, and the target outcome will include 80% of clients self-reporting that they are better able to manage at home as a result of the help that they received. The Senior Service Division is also designated as the local area agency on aging, which is more known as the AAA for the City of Chicago. As the AAA, DFSS coordinates and funds services for older adults, prioritizing those in the greatest economic and social need, those living alone, and those at risk for institutional placement. The Senior Service Division efforts are guided by supporting older persons to live independently in their home, in their own communities and home as long as possible, ensuring that those who reside in institutions are treated with dignity and care, and guaranteeing that older adults have access to accurate information to participate in public policy. Together, our services, together with, sorry, together with our service providers, we provide virtual information and assistance, congregate and home delivered meals, senior centers, fitness classes, caregiver support, and in-home services, just to name a few. We value integrity and respect as well as promoting social engagement among the elderly as an antidote to independence, social isolation, and withdrawal. For more information on our strategic framework, please see the link listed on this PowerPoint. Chore services will be funded by Title IIIB of the Older Americans Act Federal and American Rescue Plan if available. In FY 2022, DFSS funded one delegate agency with $100,000 to provide services citywide. For FY 2025, DFSS will provide funds of $200,000 to one delegate agency to meet the needs of older adults. Chore Services RFP aims to help older adults 60 years and older living in Chicago with their ADLs and IADLs by providing temporary in-home assistance. The goals are ADLs and IADLs will be met, participants will remain safely in their home, preventing them from premature institutionalization. Homeowners 60 years and older will be supported in maintenance of their home, like lawn care, snow removal, and extermination. Many adults would like to remain at home as they age. However, some have little to no formal or informal support to assist with their ADLs and IADLs. It is estimated that 27% of adults 60 years and older and living in the United States are living alone. Other components to take into consideration that impact the ability to perform ADLs are social isolation, side effects of medication, and the environment itself of where the older adult resides. Chore Services provides assistance with ADLs and IADLs in-home and seasonal outdoor tasks, supporting the older adult to age and play safely in their home environment. Chore program delays permanent long-term care placement in a facility. Staff who practice person-centered skills keep the focus on the person, foster connections, maximize choice and control, communicate clearly, making sure that the care plan is implemented according to the person's wishes. Focus is on the whole person and not on their diagnosis or their disability, with the inclusion of the person in identifying their own goals and values. The selected respondent shall encourage communication and shared activities between the care worker and the care receiver and offer ongoing training to their workforce on topics such as person-centered practices, elder abuse and self-neglect, chronic disorganization, hoarding, memory loss, and assist people with specific impairments such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and other chronic conditions. The selected respondent should also be familiar with evidence and trends in providing quality chore services and heavy-duty chore services that address physical, psychological, and social needs of the client. There are 523,988 older adults living in the city of Chicago. By 2033, more than 11 million middle income older adults 75 years and older will not be able to afford long-term care and assisted living and will not qualify for public aid. In FY 2022, DFSS provided 3,419 hours of services to 86 clients. In FY 23, 4,600 hours of services were provided to 161 clients, a 17% increase in utilization and an 87% increase in total unduplicated clients served. Older adults must live in the city of Chicago to be eligible for services, must be 60 years and older, and need an assistance with at least one ADL or IDL to remain at home. No requirement as to duration of residency or citizenship must be imposed as a condition of participation. Participants must be prioritized based on the Older Americans Title III priorities, which states preference for older persons with the greatest economic and social needs. For outdoor maintenance and extermination services, the older adult must be a homeowner to qualify. We have come across clients that have had 2 properties and are seeking assistance at both properties. However, only the primary property is eligible for services. We've also had clients that have that are landlords that are also seeking assistance for their tenants, and that's not allowed. The selected respondent will be responsible for the program management that includes outreach, assessment, program implementation, retention, and data collection on the impact of the program. Individual interventions should be delivered in-house or contracted by a third-party provider or a combination. Overall, the respondent should aim to serve 250 participants citywide. The respondent must conduct ongoing outreach activities citywide to ensure participation and retention in the program of eligible individuals in the program. Outreach efforts may include, but are not limited to, community presentations, brochures, flyers, webinars, and/or social media. Program promotion through the various news and public information media is subject to be approved by DFSS's Public Information Officer and must credit DFSS and/or funder as a source of funds supporting Chore service program. For intake, DFSS's Information and Assistance Department, better known as INA, is the lead contact to receive intake calls and refer participants to the selected respondent and to the CCU MCO. The expedited process was implemented to address backlog of Chore clients awaiting CCU MCO assessments by concurrently allowing the respondent to provide needed services in a timely manner. The selected respondent at minimum must be available to accept referrals during DFSS hours, working hours from 8:30 to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. The selected respondent is responsible to contact the participant within 72 hours of receiving the referral to determine the level of service. The selected respondent may take direct referrals. However, they should be forwarded to DFSS so that INA can assess participants' needs for other services. Referrals can be made to INA by calling 312-744-4016 or 311 or emailing the information to the email listed here. The service categories available through the Chore service program are short-term chore, heavy-duty chore, seasonal yard work, and extermination. Participants can receive more than one chore services. For example, heavy-duty chore and extermination. Extermination if the client is a homeowner. Short-term chore services are temporary and designed to support the care recipient in case of illness or hospitalization and support them during life transitions such as the loss of a loved one, relocation, or other significant life events that temporarily hinder independence. The selected respondent will develop a person-centered plan that includes services to be provided. Allowable services may include, but are not limited to, housework, cleaning tasks, laundry, shopping, meal prep, assisting with bathing, dressing and grooming, just to name a few. Short-term chore services may not exceed 48 units of services per client per fiscal year. Services should conclude within 6-week period. An extension may be authorized by contacting the DFSS program manager. Heavy-duty chore services include extensive cleaning for those clients whose conditions are a threat to their health. Their living conditions are a threat to their health and safety, including excessive collective of items. The selective respondent will develop a person-centered work plan that includes services to be provided, allowable services, but are not limited to trash removal, moving, cleaning behind furniture, carpet cleaning, washing floors and walls, assisting with packing and disposal of household items, are to name a few. Heavy-duty chore may require that the selected respondent clean vermin or pest infestation, including but not limited to roach, mice, and bed bugs, bodily or biological fluids such as blood, urine, or feces, or other instances where additional precautions may be warranted. The selected respondent should take the necessary precautions as defined by their policies and procedures to complete the service. Heavy-duty chore may not exceed 60 units of service per client per fiscal year. Heavy-duty chore services will be determined on a case-by-case basis. In some cases, an extension for additional hours may be authorized by contacting the DFSS program manager. Lawn care, snow removal, and extermination services are provided to homeowners 60 years and older who live in the city of Chicago. Snow removal services will range from November through March. Specifically, it will include sidewalk, carriage walkway to the front stairs, salting and de-icing walkways with a maximum of 10 days of service per client per fiscal year. Lawn care services will be provided 28 weeks from April through October, every other week, which is 14 weeks. Lawn care services will include, but are not limited to, mowing lawn, moving outdoor furniture to clear walkways for safety, raking and bagging leaves, removing tree limbs and debris from lawn care areas, blowing and sweeping glass clippings and debris from curbs, to name a few. Extermination services will be provided with the use of chemical treatment. This service is intended to address bed bugs and other types of infestations, including but not limited to rodents, roaches, bugs, etc. Extermination services may include a hotel stay as needed. Clients are eligible for 1 year of services and may reapply. For lawn care services, there may be a delay in providing services due to weather, such as rain. For renters, these services should be covered by their landlord. Subcontracted agencies must demonstrate competence to implement programmatic elements, whereas lead agencies must also demonstrate financial strength and ability to comply with all administrative requirements outlined in the RFP. The selected respondent shall name the subcontractor as named insurer under the selected respondent's insurance, or the selected respondent will require that the subcontractor provide and maintain commercial general liability, commercial automobile liability, workers' 24 compensation, and employees' liability insurance, and when applicable, excess umbrella liability insurance and professional liability insurance. Subcontractors must complete a background check as listed in the RFP. Selected respondents will be responsible for ensuring that the subcontractor has complied with the required coverage and terms and conditions. DFSS will allow for the selected respondent to include discretionary costs to aid with purchases of items and materials that are needed to facilitate chore services. Some allowable costs include cleaning supplies, packing materials such as boxes, tapes, bubble wrap, labels. Hotel stays may be available for clients receiving extermination services on a case-by-case basis as needed with a 2-day stay. Maximum reimbursement will be $250 per night. The hotel will be chosen by the selected respondent, subject to DFSS approval as needed. Additional days require approval from DFSS. Dumpsters can be rented on a case-by-case for heavy-duty chores with extreme clutter. PPE such as gloves, goggles, face shields can also be purchased, and other moving-related items. DFSS reserves the ability to add and/or change services as needed and deemed appropriate to meet the needs of eligible clients. One hour of staff expended 1 hour of staff time expended on behalf of a client constitutes 1 unit of service, including time necessary for preparing, traveling, and documentation. Preparing reports and grant applications are considered administrative tasks and are not billable activities directly on behalf of a client. And now I'll turn it over to Stacy.
Thank you, Gladys. So now we're going to review some of the program requirements around emergency contingency planning. So special emphasis should be placed on developing contingency plans for any type of emergency. These include any type of health emergencies, such as the pandemic, any weather-related emergencies as well, such as winter storms, tornadoes, or heat waves that may require a change in program delivery. It may be necessary to transition, in some cases, in-person interventions to other delivery methods if and when local officials deem in-person programs unsafe. We look for the selected respondent to develop policies and procedures to include sections on training, PPE, health screenings, as well as temperature checks and contract tracing. And the expectations is that policies and procedures are in accordance with CDC, IDPH, and federal emergency management guidance. Next slide, please. For staff qualifications for this program, the selected respondent is required to assign and maintain for the duration of the services a qualified staff to perform the services. The respondent will also retain and make available the proof of certification or expertise, which includes and is not limited to resumes, job descriptions, and licenses. And staff will include appropriate supervisory and support staff to provide chore services. The positions under this program include a program coordinator or director who will be the key contact to DFSS to receive the referrals and arrange the visits, as well as have overall accountability for the requested service delivery to meet the client needs and goals outlined in this RFP. This position may not be vacant at any time during the contract period. In addition, homemakers and/or home care workers who will be assigned and trained to provide in-home services. The selected respondent must have a valid business license and be able to operate in Illinois. The respondent at its own cost and expense will comply to all applicable federal, state, and local laws, ordinances, policies, procedures around background checks, fingerprint, and screening to ensure senior safeties. Background checks are an allowable expense to be included in the budget in advance. And the respondent is required to obtain criminal background checks, which include electronic fingerprint check, as well as the exclusionary list of websites listed here. Most importantly as well, the Adult Protective Services Registry on each employee who will have direct contact with the participant. Next slide, please. As part of the Older Americans Act, all clients must be provided the opportunity to contribute or donate to their cost of services. However, the selected respondent may not charge for any services provided under this grant. Contributions are strictly voluntary, and no client will be refused service for not contributing. All contributions would be reported to DFSS Senior Services Division on a monthly basis. Next slide, please. As far as our performance goals and outcomes, we seek respondents with evidence of strong past performance against the desired outcome goals. Our performance indicators include 80% of clients who indicate that they are better able to remain at home as a result of the services that they received, 80% of clients indicating that Chore services have met their needs, 80% of clients indicating that Chore services have maintained or improved their quality of life, 80% of clients who are surveyed indicating overall satisfaction with services, 80% of clients surveyed indicating satisfaction with the amount of help that they received, and 80% of clients surveyed indicating satisfaction with the way that they were treated by their workers. To monitor and recognize intermediate progress towards the performance indicators, we will be tracking output metrics that may include, but are not limited to, the number of clients and number of hours for each type of service. For short-term Chore services, which will be provided monthly or annually, for heavy-duty Chore services provided monthly and annually, and finally for the lawn care, snow removal, and extermination services that are provided monthly or annually. Again, the target is 250 clients citywide and 7,000 units. As part of DFSS commitment to become more outcomes oriented, we seek to actively and regularly collaborate with delegate agencies to review program performance, learn what works, and develop strategies to improve program quality throughout the term of the contract. Upon award, the delegate agencies will be expected to collect and report client-level demographic, performance, and service data. Our data platform is AgingIS, which we utilize for tracking and reporting, and it is the expectation that the selected respondent input any reporting on client and service data by the first week of the following month. Delegate agencies must implement policies and procedures to ensure privacy and confidentiality of client records for both paper files and electronic databases. And for more information on our security and information technology policies, you may reference the link attached to the slide. Okay. I'm sorry, Jillian, was there a slide before this? Okay, next slide, please. As far as client files, we do expect that the selected respondent must maintain a confidential file on each client. Each file must be kept in a secure, locked place with case notes along with each file. Again, this can be electronic or paper file, and we ensure that clients' information is accurate, complete, and maintained separately from other agency files. Each delegate agency must also have a mechanism for filing complaints or grievances in regarding to service delivery. Clients must be given that mechanism for comments and suggestions on service delivery improvement. DFSS also reserves the right to create such a mechanism to be distributed and to selected respondents. And a complaint log must be kept recording the name of the client, date, and reason for dissatisfaction, as well as the steps taken to rectify the situation. Finally, in terms of program evaluation and satisfaction surveys, the respondent must have procedures for evaluating and reporting client satisfaction. They must administer surveys measuring client family satisfaction developed and provided by DFSS and report the results of the survey and receive feedback on services on a quarterly basis. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, AgingIS is our computerized client tracking system, which is required to provide data and reporting to senior services. We typically ask for this report to be completed by the 5th of the following month for clients who were served in the preceding month. We keep track of units and services provided, unduplicated client counts, as well as other demographic data necessary for this program. Both program and financial reports are required of all funded providers. And we require that providers have a program and fiscal reporting system that will ensure the provision of accurate and timely reporting. Reports must be submitted on time. And we also schedule quarterly meetings or sometimes monthly meetings with the delegate agency to discuss program operations and progress. Attendance is mandatory and not subject to reimbursement. Now we're going to review the selection criteria in the application evaluation. The first criteria is community involvement. We look that the respondent demonstrates a clear understanding of the target population, including their strengths and assets, as well as needs and challenges. We looked for the respondent to have expertise working with the target population and relevant capabilities and/or infrastructure needed to serve this group, including an action plan for cultural diversity and competency in the client's primary language. The respondent must be able to demonstrate that client and community engagement activities inform service delivery. And respondent must demonstrate a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion and access. The respondent's leadership reflects and engages the diverse people of the community it serves. Our second criteria is organizational capacity. DFSS will evaluate if the respondent has qualified staff responsible for program oversight and management, that they have adequate systems and processes to support monitoring program expenditures and fiscal controls, that the respondent has secure data collection and management processes, and that the respondent has adequate human resources capacity to hire and manage staff. Next slide, please. We are also evaluating the strength of your proposed program. The respondent must clearly define services to be provided either directly or through partnerships with other agencies that are appropriate to addressing the needs and achieving desired outcomes for this target population. The respondent's proposed program should be supported with strong national or local evidence base or best practices in the relevant field. The respondent also needs to show an effective approach to identifying and retaining program participants. And finally, the respondent has partnerships or coordinates with other agencies to expand or improve services in a client-centered or comprehensive way. Next, will be evaluating performance management and outcomes. The respondent must demonstrate evidence of strong past performance against desired outcome goals and performance metrics and/or other notable accomplishments in providing services to the target population. They must demonstrate experience using data to inform and improve its services or practices. And they must have relevant systems or processes needed to collect and store key participant and performance data. Finally, the last criteria that we review are reasonable costs, budget justifications, and leverage of funds. We look at the respondent to have fiscal capacity to implement the proposed program. They must leverage other funds and in-kind contributions to support total program and administrative cost. And we look at that the respondent demonstrates reasonable implementation costs and funding requests relative to its financial and human resources. Their proposed budget should support the proposed scope of work or work plan. We do ask that you look at the attachments that will need to be included. We ask that if you do have any reports, studies, or other documentation that show performance towards reaching program goals, demonstrate results and accomplishment. We look at resumes for key staff or job descriptions of those who may be overseeing the program. And we would ask for you to also attach your budget for this program. Make sure that all program requirements are addressed. You will be evaluated on the strength of your proposal and your responsiveness to the selection criteria. Failure to submit a complete proposal or respond fully to all requirements may make your submission subject to rejection. The commissioner, upon review of the recommended agency, may reject, deny, or recommend agencies that have applied for grants based on previous performance and/or area of need. We reserve the right to ensure that all mandated services are available citywide and provided in a linguistically and culturally appropriate manner. As far as the timeline, we are doing the pre-proposal webinar today, August 27th. The due date to submit your pre-proposal questions will be Friday, August 30th, 2024. Applications will be due September 13th, 2024. And the expectation is the program period begins on October 1st, 2024. The term of the contract will be from October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2027. So it is a 3-year contract term. Based on need, availability of funds, and performance, we may extend this term for up to 1 additional year, with each extension not to exceed 1 year. The amount of this RFP for 1 year is $200,000 annually. And this contract will operate on a reimbursement basis. No advances will be given at this time. You may also include administrative cap, which is 10%, and there is no match requirement for this program. We ask that you submit a budget for 1 year, which is 12 months of services. Please be thoughtful and inclusive when you're developing your budget, and we generally cannot give you more money than what you ask for. Please use the reasonable cost questions on the application to discuss how you determine the costs reflected in your budget. Common mistakes that we see on budgets: fringe, please check your calculations. Supplies, sometimes this is over or under budgeted for. Making sure that client assistance, if this is appropriate, making sure you're including that, as well as job descriptions and titles in your job description uploads. Please put a brief description of the job in the budget document itself. Please put your budgets in the appropriate column, and if you do decide, please show your match. Again, all applications are going to be due on Friday, September 13th, 2024 at 12 p.m. noon Central Time. So with that, I will pass it along to Jillian to discuss e-procurement.
Thanks, Stacy. We would like to stress that when submitting your application or working on your application, that you start as early as possible and save as often as you can. If you have never done business with the City of Chicago, please register into iSupplier/eProcurement as soon as possible. Please review RFP narratives and application questions closely. Remember, they align with the scope and the selection criteria. Use the information in the RFP for guidance in formulating your answers. There is a 4,000 character limit, which includes punctuations and spaces. Each response is allotted 4,000 characters. And please, whatever you do, do not use the back button on your browser. To submit multiple applications for a single RFP, applicants will need to set up in a unique user account in iSupplier. The e-procurement system is not capable of submitting more than one distinct proposal per associated email address. Therefore, you must use a separate email address for each submittal proposal. You can submit your application and later amend it up until the due date of September 13th, 2024. Avoid the rush and possible mishaps by submitting early. Plan on submission taking about 30 to 60 minutes. Please be advised that we cannot accept late applications. For help, please make use of the e-procurement hotline at 312-744-4357. This hotline operates during business hours only, which is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And remember, save your work often and submit early as possible. Just a few agency requirements. The agency must provide articles of incorporation or any amended articles of incorporation. You must provide an IRS affirmation letter, This is for not-for-profit agencies only. This letter must be dated within 60 days of submittal. You can obtain this by calling the IRS directly at 1-877-829-5500. If you are a for-profit agency, submit your original letter from the IRS showing your FEIN number. A UEI number is required, as well as a central contractor registration, CCR. Please provide a copy of the entity overview page on the www.sam.gov website. Lastly, a certificate of good standing letter is required from the state of Illinois. As of April of this year, we now have a new labor peace agreement ordinance. This will apply to all DFSS and CDPH delegates that have 20 or more employees working for their organization. Please be advised that this does not apply to hospitals. Contractor must provide written notice to the commissioner or her designee within 72 hours of becoming aware that employees want to organize or that a union seeks to represent employees. Contractor must enter into an LPA within 90 days of receiving notice from a labor organization that it represents or seeks to represent employees. What is an LPA? An LPA is an agreement between an employer and a labor union that ensures that an organizing drive is not impacted by union busting techniques, including employee retaliation and return. They will not strike or stop work in a way that will impact human services. For technical assistance, there is a on the DFS webpage, there is a link to the RFP of interest and training documents. Please see the alert section on our website. For questions on registration and e-procurement technical assistance for delegate agencies, please email customersupport@cityofchicago.org, or you can always call the help desk at 312-744-4357. There are also documents and videos regarding training on the City of Chicago website under online training materials. The link is listed here on this slide. We are now going to discuss how to enter your responses and accepting amendments. Step one for entering a response, select Create Quote from the drop-down menu in the Actions box and click on Go. This will take you to the application page where you can get started. If the RFP you are interested in has been amended, you will need to acknowledge and accept the amendment to start or submit a response. To accept the amendment, click on View Amendment History. To begin the acceptance and acknowledgement process, follow these steps after clicking View Amendment History. First, you will click on the document number. Second, you will click on the infinity or eyeglass icon to review the amendment changes to the RFP. And then lastly, you will click on Acknowledge Amendments button to acknowledge receipt and understanding of these changes and then proceed. By acknowledging the amendment, you are indicating that you are aware of the changes made to the RFP in the amendment. Now, when you get to this screen, you click on the I accept checkbox and then click on Acknowledge. Once you click Acknowledge, you click Yes to indicate that you confirm your acknowledgement of the amendment. Finally, you click on the checkbox that you accept the terms and conditions and then click on Accept to accept the terms and conditions. That is the final step in acknowledging and accepting the amendment. Now we're going to delve into how to submit an application. Once you have accepted, acknowledged the amendment, and you're ready to submit your proposal, you start by saving your draft one last time and then click Continue. If you are missing information, the system will give you an error message at the top of the page. Usually the error message directly, it directs to something left undone in the application. So in that last example, the error message indicated that the lines had not been filled out. So this is always helpful that the system gives you a heads up that something is incomplete or something needs a second look. In this example, the error is about an unanswered question in the application or the requirements tab. The quote value refers to your, in this case, missing answer. Once your application is free from errors and you are ready to proceed and submit, you can click continue, and that should put your application into the review and submit phase. Once you get to this page, this is your last chance to review all of your data and confirm it's accurate. Check your attachments and scroll to the bottom of the screen to see all of your responses. And then at the bottom of the screen, you will be asked to provide an electronic signature. Please be sure to fill in the signature before checking that box. And lastly, you can submit your proposal. Please make sure that you see this submittal confirmation screen. The e-procurement system will send a confirmation email within 24 hours of your submission. Please call or email me if you desire confirmation prior to then. Now is the time for questions. If anyone has questions, please use the question box to submit your questions. Right now, I don't see any questions, but our question deadline is August 30th. So you do still have time if you want to submit questions after the webinar. And then you can submit your questions, and if you have any need any programmatic information, you can contact Stacy at 312-743-7272. She can also be reached at stacy.subita@cityofchicago.org. And then for non-programmatic questions, questions regarding the e-procurement, if you need any assistance, please feel free to contact the e-procurement hotline. Again, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 through 5. And their number is 312-744-4357. Their email is customersupport@cityofchicago.org. And you can also reach out to me. My name is Jillian Black, and my email is jillian.black@cityofchicago.org. Stacy, do you have any last remarks?
I don't. Just thank you all for joining today. And again, any questions between now and Friday, please feel free to get in contact with us, and we will have an amendment coming out shortly. Again, September 13th is the deadline for this application. And thank you again for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.